Welcome, welcome everyone. Okay, I am going to just get going. Everyone is very welcome to pop in to the Q&A section at any point and ask some questions. I do have other team members here that you can probably see at the top of the screen there, who are going to be helping me in kind of fielding questions throughout today. I won't be stopping for questions until the end. We do have a lot of updates to go through. If you have any specific questions about your account, your Minga, please email us at support@minga.io. I'm just going to again put that in the chat so everyone can see. And our whole team will be available to either jump on a call if needed and explain anything in more detail after today. If you've got any pertinent questions as we go through, absolutely ask away in the Q&A section, and I'll do my best to get through those at the end. But also our team will be here helping answer those questions too. I will be recording this session. You've probably already seen its recording, so I'll send this out later today with lots of resources going through all the updates I mentioned here today, and obviously with the recording that you can share with anyone that you need to after this. So I hope for most of you, most of the names in here, I recognize we've already spent some time together. What I want to show you today are all the new updates that have been happening in Minga over the past few months. You've probably noticed we've sort of updated a lot of features. We've added some new features. So today I want to make sure you know what they all are, because they've probably changed a little bit since you first joined Minga, unless you are very new. So I'm going to, for the most part, just screen share and sort of walk you through all the new tools. So I'm going to get started on that. When we send out the email today, it's going to go to all you owners and managers. Obviously, you can then share that internally. We are seeing some emails bouncing. So the one thing I would ask is just that you and your IT team just whitelist at minga.io so that you can receive responses to support and feature updates as we go. It's one important thing to try and make sure that we do. Okay, so I'm going to stop jabbering, and well, I'm going to continue jabbering for quite a long time actually, but I'm going to move on to the screen share. Okay, so everyone should be able to see my demo Minga right now. So first big update that affects everyone, regardless of what modules you have, is automatic rostering. So one thing that you've probably all been having to do since you joined Minga is upload your students and your staff data manually via CSV or an Excel file. And you've been doing that in People Manager. Now, maybe this isn't you, maybe this is someone else at the school, but either way, it's an admin task that is a pain, and we don't want you to have to do it. So we have just launched automatic rostering. This you'll see in People Manager under the rostering tab at the bottom right. So in this, there are two different methods of rostering. One is via OneRoster API, which works with Aries, Q, ClassLink, Infinite Campus. Any other student information systems, we can help you roster via SFTP. Now, what we will need to do is get one person at your district or at your site level who's got admin access to your student information system, and then they will be able to set this up for you. They will need owner privileges, so make them an owner in your Minga so they can have access to this page, and then have them just click on the Minga knowledge base link here, which will take them to this document, which explains exactly which method to use for which student information system. As you can see, PowerSchool and Skyward here need to be via SFTP, and then all of Aries, Infinite Campus, Q, and ClassLink can be set up via OneRoster. They both end up the same way. We pull your data in every evening. So we'll be looking at new students, new staff, and then you can also choose to archive students that then no longer appear in your information system, which is going to be great for the, the crossover of the new school year. We'll be adding all new students automatically and archiving anyone that leaves. And as I'm sure lots of you have already, worked out, it's really important to archive students when they leave your account so that A, everything's up to date, and B, they can still access Minga if they've got Minga at their new school. So that's all pretty easy to set up. We just want to get someone from your district or site IT team to set this up. I will send more information about this specifically after this call today. So one thing that this does not do, however, is pull in automatic photos. So you will still need to go to Minga Manager and bulk upload those photos in the Photos tab as you are already used to. But as all those student ID numbers are already pulled in automatically, it's really easy to do that. Just come in here and bulk upload. And as I'm sure lots of you know, if you want to just add temporary photos for those new students joining as you wait, you can easily pop into here and upload, even from your phone, just take that temporary photo and upload it right away. There's one extra update on IDs I just want to make sure everyone knows about. It is new, it's only come in the past few weeks. It's the ability under settings to add additional ID fields. So if you want to show some, job titles, whether that's a principal, activity director, whatever it is, you can add those ID fields now on if you want. Just enable it here and then go ahead and manually add those or bulk upload them in a CSV, or if you're doing SFTP, you can add the ID field into your automatic upload. You can even use these things to donate, to dictate, a bus schedule or a severe allergy or just anything that you need to add to IDs that you didn't already have on there. So moving on, any questions on that, feel free to put them in the chat or on automatic rostering, but we will follow up with more information on that by email after this call. So one other new thing coming up that maybe you've seen, maybe you haven't, is Minga Manager. So this is brand new. This is going to show you really just a good overview of how active everyone is in your Minga account. So pop into reports, you'll be able to see how many people are active, how many students are active, filter by whatever date range you want. And then also we can take a look at, how many hall passes are being used, how many check-ins, how many behaviors are being reported on. So really just a good overview for you. And then those settings that you were used to seeing under Minga settings are just here under the settings tab. And this is where those notification and posting preferences now live, where they used to be in a slightly different spot. All right, so one thing that you've probably already seen is the new look teacher tools. So I'm going to start here. So what we've done on here is just update the look and feel so that when you're on mobile, if I just condense my screen a bit, there's less scrolling required. It's much more condensed, much easier to use. And you will see a few new tools in here as well. So a nice, easy access to all of your groups at the top here. A few other bits and pieces I'm going to come to. But the main thing I'm going to focus on first is the addition to our behavior module. So behavior and rewards, if you have this module, you are already used to being able to assign praise and assign guidances. So what we're doing here is monitoring student behavior, whether that is, these praise behaviors, whether they maybe are your, school core values, and that you are, giving points out for recognition for students. Obviously, all these can be completely customized based on your school and what you need. So maybe you're familiar with this already. The same with guidance. So here's where we can track tardies or monitor, report on tardies, and also any other behaviors that you want to monitor specifically. What we have just added is assign a consequence. So by making it easy for you to monitor those behaviors, it's really, really simple for you and any other teachers on campus or staff to recognize some behavior on campus, easily put that in Minga from wherever they are, on a computer, on a phone, and then have that reported centrally. The challenge is moving all of that reporting and then deciding, okay, what consequences need to be kind of doled out at what point. So we've seen all these tardies come in on all sorts of Google Sheets. And now we've got to decide, okay, who gets a detention based on those tardies, or who gets a great consequence based on the number of points they've got this semester. So assigning a consequence is something we've just added. If you don't see on your teacher tools yet, it just needs activating in Behavior Manager. So I'll show you how to do that. But what you'll be able to do now manually from here is click on assign a consequence, and you can decide to give out, a guidance consequence for a detention or a Saturday school, or some kind of positive consequence. Now, all of these can be done manually from here. But the fun part for us comes with automating these. So what we want to be able to do is have your teachers, your staff, be able to record tardies, maybe at a central point at the beginning of the day. And I'll follow up with our tardy webinar that Jason hosted a couple of weeks ago. Apologies. Which walks through the ability for you to now centralize a tardy tracking system or tardy monitoring system, and really remove work from that teacher, from that staff's desk, and move all of the admin to a central point. So by doing that, by monitoring tardies here, we want to now be able to automate those consequences, remove the admin from individuals on like counting up all those tardies and deciding, okay, now this person gets a detention. So what we're going to do now is pop over to the Behavior Manager. And I'm going to show you how we can automate that. So now what you'll see in Behavior Manager under the dashboard is just your daily report of what's happening on campus, what behaviors have been monitored, and maybe what consequences has been given out. Here under behaviors, we can see the setup of those behaviors that maybe you're already used to and the consequences. Again, if you don't see the consequences, this just needs to be turned on by going to settings and enabling consequences right here. So here's when you're going to create those consequences that can be assigned manually. So let's say I've got my detention here. I can create it, or I can just edit this one. We can see a few things pop up with a consequence. We can assign points because those consequences can be positive. They can be praise consequences. But for guidance, we'll just leave that as 0. We'll have a little description, and then we can decide on a consequence type. So this is a detention consequence type. This makes a difference. If we make it a detention, it means that this is now something that has to be completed in the back end. And I'm going to show you how we would complete a detention after this. A referral or a warning is more just a notification. It's not going to require any completion. I'm going to set this as a detention. And what you can now see is you do also have the ability to have a teacher assign a note to that consequence, but we can also now send notifications. So if you're uploading parent contact information, we can now send emails. If you have the SMS module enabled, you'll be able to turn this on and send SMS messages as notifications to parents as well. You can also send admin notifications. So maybe when a specific consequence has been assigned, you want to make sure that someone in the admin team is aware so that they know that that consequence needs to be completed. So we can add any information in here and save. If we scroll down to the bottom, this is where we're going to see those automations. So this is where maybe we have a detention off the back of a number of tardies. So if I edit this, and I can create just by clicking create automation. If I scroll down to the bottom here, I'm going to edit the one I already have. We can see that this is my name. It's a detention for tardy. So if you've been late 3 times, we're going to assign you the detention consequence. and anything you've created up top is going to appear here to pick from. It's going to look at the behaviors that we specify. Now, this can be multiple different types of behaviors, but for this one, it's going to be just tardy that I'm looking at. So I could have chosen any of the others in here, multi-select. I'm going to look at a behavior threshold of 3. So when you had 3 tardies, you've been late 3 times, you are going to be automatically assigned this consequence. And I'm going to give you 4 days to complete that. If it's not completed within 4 days, you're going to go, or the student is going to go into an overdue consequence. You'll see here that once you've saved these, you have the ability to reset these. So we typically see these being used maybe on a month by month or a semester by semester basis. So at the end of that time frame, when we are going to stop counting and start from 0 again, we are going to be able to reset that counter. So it's going to go back to 0 for everyone. If we want to reset this just for one individual student, we can go ahead and do that here. Okay, now I will show you what this looks like from the student side as well. But one thing that we can now do is obviously have these consequences for guidance, but we can also do consequences in a positive way. So if you are already using Minga to reward great things on campus, people are achieving, your core values have been recognized for those, maybe we can have a campus superstar. So up here, I've got a campus superstar. Yes, I can send you the recording. Absolutely, Malcolm. My campus superstar, I'm going to give them 50 points. It's just going to be a notification, and I'm not going to notify parents in this occasion, but I certainly could if I needed to. And then down here, I'm going to set up that automation. So I'm going to pop in here and I'm going to give them campus superstar if they have been recognized for kindness and for being helpful 10 times in this semester. So that's going to automatically pop into their feed when they see it. It's a really nice, easy way of recognizing students. And obviously they can get points per behavior being recognized, but it's also nice to give them more of an overall prize there. Okay, now we can take this one step further by linking this with the updates to the check-in manager. So if you are already familiar with the check-in manager, you will know that this is how, now in Teacher Tools, you'll see the option to check in here. You can see the option for creating custom check-ins for really any reason you might have on campus. We see this used very often for off-campus lunch. So we want to monitor who's leaving campus and who's coming back. And we want to see who's left campus and not come back yet and get those absentee counts. Maybe we want to do a daily campus check-in so we know everyone who's on campus that day. And all of these can be restricted based on, sticker membership, what role somebody is. Really, you can limit those check-ins based on any kind of reason that you want to implement. Tardy up here is one that is really helpful in this specific instance, because we can now check someone in maybe at the start of school as they're arriving on campus. If you do a central check-in, we're going to do a start of school check-in. Now, everyone who is being checked in, whoever's doing it is going to click on this, assign check-in, and we're going to scan with a barcode reader or lots of different phones and just scan everyone when they come in. You're going to get that reporting of who scanned them in, what time they arrived on campus, and then again when they leave campus, if you want to do, an end of school. But what we might then do also is when the bell goes, we're going to switch to a tardy check-in. So now everyone who's checking in is going to be checking in as tardy. What we can do now, if I pop into check-in manager, is link your check-in reason to your behavior. So if I come in hidden reasons, I'm going to click edit. And we can see a few new options here that didn't exist a few months ago. So in here, if you're not familiar with check-in reasons, we can go ahead and do whatever color we want to do to sort of customize this, whatever icon we want. Now, this is sort of primarily just going to be seen on your check-in teacher tools. And then down here, we can assign a point for that reason if we want for the check-in. And then we're going to decide who can do that check-in. So for me, I'm restricting to a role, all student leaders and all students, or I could restrict to anyone with a sticker, anyone who's a member of a group, a grade, or anyone who's already checked into another reason that day. And so anyone who does not meet these requirements is not going to be able to check in. These new features down here enable us to link to a behavior. So now if we are checking a student in as tardy and we are auto assigning them a tardy behavior, that now gives us the ability to add a consequence to a check-in because they're checking in, they're being auto assigned a tardy behavior in this instance, which now means that we are counting those tardy behaviors towards a potential consequence. So now it's a one-step process. They scan in once, all that reporting is done for you. If they're tardy multiple times in that week, that consequence is going to be automatically issued. Or maybe they've been tardy those 3 times in that semester. That consequence is automatically issued. The notification goes to the admin, the notification goes to the parents, and the notification goes to the student. And I will show you that shortly on the teacher tools, student tools area. You'll also see the ability to auto assign hall passes. So if we are doing a centralized tardy check-in, and again, I will send you the webinar Jason did a couple of weeks ago on how we anticipate this whole centralized tardy system working and really removing admin from your teachers' desks. You will see that assigning a hall pass for a tardy is really helpful because once they've checked in as tardy, they can now go to their classroom, show that hall pass to get into class. Teacher doesn't have to do any additional admin. They just check that they've got the hall pass, and then they go ahead and go into class. Teacher's got nothing to do there. And we can see easily here in the dashboard any tardies that have been monitored today. Really easily from this centralized view here, you can get a good overall view of what's happening on campus. And then you'll see all of this in your reporting as well. So you can see anything that's added here. This can be exported. Your check-in history can be exported. Your behavior reports can be exported very easily and uploaded into your student information system as needed. All right, so I am just going to move on to back to teacher tools. I'll pop into student tools just to show you all this, how the students see it towards the end today. So back into teacher tools, a couple of new things in here that maybe you haven't seen yet. We have a new points and rewards section. So you'll see here, manage points and redeem points down the bottom. Manage points used to live in either your behavior manager in settings, or for teachers and staff, they would have seen that in leaderboard, which is still here on the right-hand side. But we do have now in teacher tools, a shortcut up the top here to your leaderboard. So you can easily now come in here and see all the points all your students have. But manage points no longer lives here. Manage points is now down the bottom in your behavior and rewards section. So anyone that needs to come in here and add points, remove points from teams or individuals can really easily do this just by clicking add points, searching for the student or uploading a list of students and manually adding all those points. Now, the only people that can manually add points like this are the people that you as owners and managers give permission. So not anyone can just pop in here and manage these points. If you enable this in the new points manager, which I'll show you next, they will be able to see it, but only those individuals that you allow can see that. But the new and exciting part of this is points redemption. And I know there's a few people in here that I've spoken to about, how do we run our student store? We don't want to remove points from students manually because that means that their leaderboard ranking drops. And so students are not spending those points because they don't want to drop down the leaderboard. So what we now have for you is points redemption. And again, the only people that have access to points redemption are the people that you allow. So all owners and managers will always see this, but teachers, staff, anyone else, you need to enable this. So by clicking on redeem points, we now immediately open up the people finder. So let's say you're running your student store. We've got a student come to purchase. So I'm going to search for my student here. And now we see our little points redemption screen. So in here, I can add a few things to my cart. So what we're going to do is go into Points Manager and add the items that you are maybe selling in your student store. So I've added a few things in here already. I've got stickers, candy bars, pencils, hats, t-shirts. If I come in here and select these, I've got a candy bar. It's cost me 50 points. I'm just got one of those. I can up those quantities if I want. What we can also see is my available points. And oh, I don't actually have enough points to buy 2 of those. So I can drop that back down. I can add a sticker. I can add a pencil. Any of these are obviously customizable at your school. And you are just going to pop in here and go to checkout. Now I've redeemed those student points. I can now go straight to the next person. But if I pop into my leaderboard, I can see that my points, well, my student points haven't been adjusted. I still have those points on the leaderboard, really easy, but my points redeemed have dropped. If you want anyone, you just want to have a look at the rewards available, you can click on the rewards tab. You can see all of these items and the students get the same view of this. So the students can always see whether or not, you know, what's for sale. They can't buy it themselves from here. They do have to come to your store. And then, oh, I can see a question here. Oh, it's just gone. How does this work? I can't see points redemption. Okay, I'm going to show you. If you can't see points redemption, I'm going to show you how we turn that on. Okay, so this is all managed now in a new spot, which is your Points Manager. So this is brand new. In here, we can see it was opened up on reporting. So I can see all the points that have been added and removed. Now, this is your leaderboard points being added and removed. In here as well, I can manage my teams. So I'm English. We've got some Hogwarts teams here, but obviously add whatever teams you want. This used to be in Behavior Manager settings. So it's now moved into its own Points Manager. Rewards here is how we add those on. So you can customize these, create any new rewards that you want, and then upload a photo of it, give it a name, and give it a point cost. Settings is how we turn these on. So for that question, I can't see rewards. How do I turn it on? Pop into here, go to settings and enable rewards in here. You can enable this for teachers and staff so they can manage rewards. Or, you know, up here as well, you need to be able to enable the leaderboard to show that leaderboard in the first place. So pop into here. The manage points option are those people that can manually add and remove points. So that is different to redeeming rewards. Okay, so anything else in here to show you? I think that is everything in here. I'm going to just move on to showing you the student version of this. So the students have typically up until now only been able to see a little drop down. They've clicked on student tools and it's given them the option to create a hall pass if you've got the hall pass module or view their ID. So let me just screen share with you this student view. I'm just going to move my screen over. Okay, so now we have student tools. So over here, you'll see student tools is still sits on the side, or if they're on their mobile device, it's along the bottom. And they now have a full student tools menu like you have teacher tools. So they'll be able to see the groups that they're a member of and easily jump into these. They can view their ID very easily, create a hall pass in just the same way that they are used to. And they can see the school leaderboard very easily from here as well. and they can also click the rewards so they can see what's available. And they do need to come to the store to spend those points, so they can't buy them from here. And they'll be able to also view their own points. So typically up until now, any student has had to click on their profile at the top here in order to see the points that they have. But now they can see it right from Student Tools. They go to points or they go to the leaderboard and they can click on points and they can see everything that they've been given points for. What they will also see is a behaviors tab now. So if we are assigning consequences, giving out, assigning behaviors, praise, or guidance, we want the students to be able to get notified. So obviously in here, they are going to be able to see a history of everything that's been assigned. They will also see all active consequences. So I've given myself quite a few here, but you can see what consequence I've had and when it's due by. So you can obviously name these consequences whatever you need to. Detention in room 504, whatever it is. They know when they've got to serve it by. Now I'm going to pop back into the reporting to show you how we complete this detention. But this is the student view for now. If I just go ahead and pop into notifications, you can see here as well, every notification that they are assigned. So when they get that consequence or when they get that behavior, they will get a full screen pop-up, which will show on the front of their screen when they open up the app for the next time, or push notification if they've got it on their phone. They'll also be able to sort of take a look back at those notifications here. So how do we complete a detention? If I pop back to my teacher tools, we can see here, I've got to go back to Behavior Manager. And now I'm going to go to reporting. So I'm going to complete those detentions for myself, and then we're going to see what that looks like for the student. But in reporting, I'm now going to go to consequence history. So in here, if I make my screen a little bigger, we can see all those consequences that we just saw on my student screen. So I can see when it was assigned and when it's due to be completed by. So if I am, the teacher in charge of serving these consequences, serving these detentions, I'm going to pop into my consequence history, and all I'm going to do is click complete when that's done. I can filter by the date, I can filter by the student's name, grade, and consequence type, so I can get just a look at just those detentions and even just all active detentions. If I have a detention that's overdue, so they've passed that due date, I can filter by overdue as well. There's also an overdue consequences report in itself. So if you in admin office really need to be able to go into the reporting and see everyone who's been issued a consequence has not completed it, you can easily come in here to overdue consequences and pull that report. If I just go ahead and complete these, they're now disappearing because I only want to see active and overdue. And then if I pop back to my student view, you will now see that those consequences have disappeared. I've only got one active consequence left. Okay, I've got a question here. What reports are teachers and staff able to run on their end? Does it differ between the title? So all owners and managers can see these reports. If you want a teacher to have access to your reports, you do need to enable that. If you want them only to have access to reports and not be able to manage anything else, let me just pop back into the screen here so you can see this. In the settings page, you can make someone a behavior report viewer. If you want them to be able to manage your behaviors, so decide which consequences and which behaviors should be active, then you need to make them a behavior manager. But as standard, all owners and managers do have access to all reporting and all dashboard and behaviors. You do need to be an owner specifically to have access to these settings. Okay, so we've seen the behavior manager, we've seen the check-in update, and the updates to teacher tools and student tools. Now, there's one thing I do want to just touch on. Lots of you, I'm sure, already use hall passes. I just want to show you one setting that got added in the last few months that we really, really recommend that you try out if you aren't already. So Hall Pass Manager, you are all probably familiar with. It got a little bit of an update in the last few months. You might have noticed the My Passes button up top here. If you haven't used this before, this enables you in the classroom, your teachers, to filter by the passes coming and going from their classroom only. Now, this means that any passes they've manually created themselves or passes that students have manually created, whilst adding that teacher as the approver. And now the only way that that can happen is if you go to settings under student created, and we must assign a teacher to a pass. So if we turn that on, that now means that every time the student makes their own hall pass, there's an extra little box that pops up and it asks for the approver of the hall pass. So whichever teacher in the room said, yep, you can go to the restroom, you can go to the fountain, they type that teacher's name in, and it'll autofill, and they can just select it from the list. That means now that that teacher, they can filter by My Passes, and they will see in here just the hall passes from their room. So it makes it really, really easy for them to see students coming and going. They don't have to monitor the whole hall pass dashboard. They don't necessarily need the student to flip the Chromebook around or bring it up and show it to them. They can easily just glance over at the tab open under My Passes and see exactly who's out of their class, when they're due back. And if they click on auto refresh, it's just going to update automatically for them throughout the day. They don't have to come back and refresh the page. So it's just one thing we added recently. I want to make sure everyone is aware of. A few other things in here have changed with hall passes. You'll see some additional settings. One key thing that we adjusted in hall pass types is the ability to give individual groups or individual students additional hall pass permissions. So popping into edit, we can see now that we can limit a hall pass to individuals or multiple individuals. So if you have a group of students who are, maybe they've got a medical note, they can leave the class any time during the day. They shouldn't be restricted by blackout periods. They shouldn't be restricted by the overall limits that everyone else is restricted by. We can make a hall pass student created. We can make it ignore blackouts. We can make it ignore limits, and we can have it limited to certain people. So we can see here, this is limited just to this student, Selena. So they are the only students that can see this. They're the only students that a teacher can issue this hall pass to. So there's no embarrassment. They can just pop onto their own app on their Chromebook, on their iPad, on their phone, and make that hall pass for themselves. Okay, I've seen questions come in. It looks like most of those are being answered. Thank you very much, team, who are doing that. I am going to invite Jason to join me just for a minute here. We want to just talk to you quickly about a new module that we are about to launch this year. I'm just going to stop my screen share. And Jason's going to give you a little bit more information on that. I'm just going to stop my spotlight here so you don't have to just look at me.
Why? You keep moving your mouth, but I'll talk so it looks like you're talking with my voice.
Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining this morning. Thank you so much, Georgia, for taking us through a very long list of updates. As you can hopefully all see, we've been very busy. We've been adding to our product team. In fact, over the last 12 months, we have more than doubled our entire team at Minga, including Georgia's team has grown from Georgia to 3 people in our customer experience team, and our product team led by our VP of product, Matt Zatarik, has grown from, I think, 4 to 8. So yeah, very busy here and lots of updates, and there's lots more coming, including just a quick teaser that in the June timeframe, probably looking towards mid to late June, we will be releasing a brand new module called the Flex Period module, and that will be basically aimed at helping you manage and organize and take attendance for flex periods, advisory periods, or like study periods that you might be using or might be doing at your school. So completely integrated into Minga, it'll be integrated into the calendaring component. It will leverage a lot of the workflows you're already familiar with in Minga, create workflows and event workflows and registration workflows and sign up workflows. It will really kind of, come into we'll help you with three main components. The first component will be making flex periods available on the calendar and then allowing teachers to add activities to that flex period or make activities available for that flex period. And when they make those activities available, they will be able to do things like set limits to how many people can register, how many students can register for those periods. They can make them public or private events or activities. They can assign students to those events and activities in advance. Admin can also assign students to activities, and they can do rostering for those activities as well. And then the next part will be that when students that aren't pre-assigned to activities or locked into other activities will then have the option to select activities based on activities that are available for them. So that will open up for the option for students to pre-select where they're going for a flex period or advisory period in the future. And then lastly, integrated in with our check-in module and a lot of the check-in functionality, which you're going to see a bunch of updates to how check-in works in events. You will see that same check-in process available for students in flex periods. So based on registration, students will be able to self-check in, or teachers will be able to take roll or attendance during the flex period, and it will reconcile that attendance with them. It will manage where they're registered or where they're supposed to be registered, similar to ticketing kind of functionality in events that you see today, except for it'll be pre-registration functionality. And in phase one, what we call our MVP, or our minimally viable product, which is the big first release of this coming out, you will end up with a single, if you do need to reconcile attendance within your student information system, you'll end up with an exportable CSV or spreadsheet that you can import into your CSV after attendance or after your flex period. And finally, it will also make it very easy for you to see not only all the students that are checked in for flex period, but also any students that have not checked in for flex period. So that will be data that will be available to you easily and in real time. So you can see those students that are trying to duck out somewhere else during flex periods. There's a lot of little nuances and little details in it. Flex periods are, can be very complicated, that's for sure. But we're working through quite a bit. We have been doing a lot of interviews with schools and gathering requirements. So if this is something that is interesting to you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can connect through Georgia through support@minga.io, or you can connect with your account manager at Minga. And if you have specific requirements that I haven't covered, or things that some feedback on flex period platforms that you're using, like FlexiSchedule or FlexTime Manager, either positive or constructive feedback that you'd like to see things done differently, please don't hesitate to reach out and let me know as well. And probably same thing, best path to do that would be just to maybe send a note into support@minga.io, and that way it'll get redirected to me or the right person in product. So very excited. That'll be our 6th module if you count our SMS module. Once again, thanks, Georgia, for taking us through all the updates today. And thank you, everyone, for joining this morning.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. If you have any more questions you want to put in Q&A, you're very welcome to. I've got another few minutes here. I'm very happy to answer questions. but we will send out an email later today with specific instructions on everything that you saw here today. Anything that you want more information on, you just let us know. If there's anything that you've seen here today that you are not yet using, that you want to trial, again, we can certainly do that. Just get in touch with us at support and we will go ahead and help you trial that. All right, lots of questions coming in. Will Minga have an update where it can connect to our student information system? Yes. Jenna, maybe you missed the beginning there. We have the rostering automation available now. So we are pulling information from your student information system. We're not pushing information back. We are just pulling that roster information in. So that is automatic rostering. That can be done in People Manager under rostering by getting someone from your student information system admin team from the district or from the site level to go ahead and help get that set up. We will send you out information on that. Angela, yes, we will send you a link to that recording. New to Minga, can we just use this to text our students? Yes, if you have the student, the SMS module, you can send out text messages from different areas in Minga. I'm just going to click that. So yes, if you have the SMS module, you'll be able to send students SMS messages, in the same way that you post onto the home feed, and you can send out SMS messages to parents from those behavior notifications. All right, what else do we have here? Is there a way to change the icons for hall passes? No, I don't believe you can do that on the existing ones. You can change the color, but not the icon. All right, what do we have next here? We have a shared teacher with another school using Minga. We had to make another email for her. When we auto roster, it looks like it archives it. Okay, Nicholas. Yeah, the role should not be being updated. So please, if you wouldn't mind sending us that specific teacher's email address, we will get back to you on that. But no, they shouldn't be automatically removed each time. So we can certainly help you with that one. Nicole's just going to send you the email address, I think, to respond to us. That's great. At the moment, Aaron, no. So substitute teachers, for the most part, are just being created with a secondary email address. However, one thing that we haven't mentioned here yet, we are going to be implementing a way for people to be in multiple Mingas at the same time. So especially for people at a district level, they're going to be able to access multiple Mingas. So we should be able to address the substitute issue much easier without them needing a separate profile per school they're at. Yes. At the moment, Louise, we don't integrate with Google Calendar at this stage. No. Anything else? Okay, thanks for sending those email addresses in, Nicholas. Please do email that, or maybe Nicole, can you grab those email addresses from Nicholas, and we will take a little look into that after this. Any other questions? No problem, Nicholas. Okay, I think that's it for questions, unless anyone else has anything else you want to jump in the Q&A. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining today. I will send you an email out with the recording and all the how-tos, documents, everything that you need moving forwards. Thank you all very much.